Hi everyone, I hope all of you guys are doing well. So today I'm going to talk about two things. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the UPSC results that came out recently. I will talk about the mark sheets that have come out. The cutoff have gone down from last year in prelims, and that has created a lot of chatter, a lot of doubts, a lot of talking points among candidates, among aspirants. So number one, I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can interpret these UPSC results and how actually I believe, in very short, if I have to say, all this is noise. You don't have to really go into the details of all these things. You should rather just focus on your own studies, and marks of this year are not going to convert into anything or have to do anything to do with marks of next year. Definitely you can go ahead and use the questions that have come in the last year for answer writing practice, or the last year PYQs. However, the marks are not going to matter. That in very short I'm telling you, but I will go ahead a little bit into detail about this. And the number two thing I'm going to talk about is how you can prepare for the prelims that are coming very soon in the next 45 days. Because of elections, you got extra 60 days to prepare for the prelims for 2024. I think this is a great opportunity for you to really increase your chances of getting through prelims. So the first, I'm going to talk about the second topic, because that is more important, because most of you will be worrying about your prelims which is coming soon. And in that I will give you 3 or 4 main points that you can focus on. The number one point is CSAT. If you have never practiced CSAT till today, go back and at least give 10 to 15 days to CSAT if you are good at it. If you have already studied maths, engineering in your undergrad or grad years, and you are confident about these subjects, you have already appeared for CAT, you have got good percentile in that, or whatever it may be, still go ahead and give last 5 years of PYQs, the previous year questions that came in the actual CSAT exam. If you are getting anything above 90 marks, you are good to go. Anything above 90 or 100 marks, you are good to go, and you do not need to worry much about. Just brush upon some old techniques, old formulas, brush upon certain comprehensions, so that you are prepared for the exam. CSAT, believe me, is last year when the CSAT was very tough, it was actually more about time management and not panicking. So this year, even if CSAT comes easy and suddenly GS becomes very hard, do not panic. That is very, very important. Do not forget the basics. Even if the exam is hard, remember the cutoff is going to go very low, so you are going to benefit from that. But use that shock, use that surprise element to your advantage. Don't let it go to the advantage of some other person. So practice for CSAT. If you have not practiced, if you are someone who has an engineering background, you are good to go. But if you are someone who is weak at CSAT and still facing struggle with CSAT, I would suggest that you go ahead and make a sheet of at least 4 to 5 pages, where all the main formulas, all the main techniques that are used in 60 to 70% of the questions that are repeating every year is there, so that you revise these formulas, you revise these techniques, and you practice the questions accordingly over the next 15 to 20 days. Devote the next 1 month to CSAT if you are someone who knows that this CSAT will be difficult to crack for me. Because if you don't crack CSAT, if you don't get 66 marks in CSAT, your GS2 efforts are not going to have any impact whatsoever in the exam. So what I would suggest to you is, you have got this golden 45 days practice for the CSAT exam. Go ahead and make a list of all the important formulas. See, most of the questions in CSAT are repetitive in nature, and some of the questions are one that will hold you back. These 20% of the questions should not decide the fate of you in the entire CSAT exam. What you should focus is on the 80% questions, the 60% questions where you can get them right. So the two places where I see that 60% achievement is the data interpretation questions, DI questions. There is a lot of scope for you to get them right. The number two questions, the comprehension, the English questions that are coming, those are not English questions really. They are just testing your analytical skills on how you can sift out information in a big paragraph or in a sentence. So practice for that. Then there are logical interpretation questions where you are given some diagrams and you have to come out with certain answer using the logic skills, whatever logic is used. Focus on those areas. If you focus on the maths questions that are hard questions and your maths is not good, you are a person from a social sciences background, unnecessarily you are going to have to go into all the details, all the background of that particular formula. So it is better that you focus on these few topics where you can get a lot of marks. So my strategy for CSAT would be 60% of questions which are repeating, which are coming, which you know that these kind of questions are going to come, master them in the next 1 month and you're good to go. This is the easiest way I can tell you now. Books to read for that, I would suggest you go and use the online sources to understand these topics. So for example, you can use Khan Academy, the American Khan Academy channel, to understand a lot of these questions. You can use a lot of, there are channels where they teach SCAT classes, they also teach some good CSAT classes, channels are also there. And in US there is SAT exam where also a lot of these kind of questions come, which you can also use. So there are these free sources on YouTube which you can use just to, if you type the nature of that question, automatically those topics will come and you can study them by yourself. So that is what I would say. So this was two category of students in prelims. Number one, CSAT haven't practiced. Number two, CSAT practice but not good. What to do? Number three is CSAT is fine, but GS is a little bit of problem. So when right now you can qualify for CSAT, it is not a problem. Now GS is becoming a problem. You want to maximize your score obviously in GS because the cutoff you don't know where it is going to be. I would suggest focus on these four subjects. Number one, polity. Number two, environment. Number four, econ. Okay. Number three, econ, and number four is going to be combinations of current topics on science and tech, map questions, current topics on map kind of questions where what is happening in the world. You can take a look at the old PYQs to understand what I'm saying, and in addition to that, geography. So if you master these four subjects, if you re-revise whatever you have studied from these subjects in the next few days, in the next 15-20 days, you have 1.5 months, 45 days. If you can revise a lot from these chapters only, trust me, your score is going to get a bump up. So how to do that? Here is the way to do that. Go back to the previous year questions of the last 5 to 10 years, divide them into subjects. Divide them into the subjects of environment, economics, polity, and science and tech, and other current affairs questions like I told you. Then one by one, go through these questions, see how much you are able to solve, and then go through the sources that you studied for these. And then parallelly study both these things and try to solve more questions so that you are able to get a grip on some of the topics you are not getting the grip onto. Other subjects you can keep to the side. Maybe little bit more questions will come from other subjects like history, but still UPSC has to kind of divide its overall syllabus fairly into different kind of questions from different subjects, and most likely it is going to continue to rely heavily on these four, at least to make 50%, 60% of the entire question paper. All right, so that is the way you do it. Now when you are analyzing the previous year questions, what I want you to do is I want you to really focus on the topics that are coming year after year and revise those topics properly. So let's say for example in environment last year certain topic has come on food chain, on whatever the food chain is or the energy chain is. So then you have to make sure that you go back and revise those topics. If you're not revising those topics, then just looking at that question and then not understanding or knowing what kind of things are there involved in that question will not help you. So I would say go back and study that so that you can come back and actually go ahead and answer the questions. All right, number one. Number two, you want to get the easy questions correct. A lot of times aspirants keep focusing on the hard things, but they don't focus on the easy things, the commonsensical things. They try to only depend on their knowledge bank, what they've studied, but don't use their common sense to answer the questions. So what I would say is, a lot of times your common sense will help you to get at least 3-4 questions correct. Do that. A lot of times you don't have to focus on your own knowledge bank. You might know it from somewhere, you might have seen it or heard being talked about. So focus on that also. Focus on this other side of your brain which has a lot of useful information but you're not using it. Number three, also at the same time, Don't ignore the easy questions that are coming. Last year, see the 20-30 questions that were very easy. Similar 20-30 questions are going to come in UPSC this year as well. So make sure that you are able to answer them correctly. Your hit rate there is 95%, 98%, instead of losing out on those questions. And then, of course, on the hard questions, you will also lose out. So easy and moderate kind of the questions are the questions where you want to get your hit rate very high. So my policy when I was preparing for UPSC used to be this. I used to focus on my polity. I used to get a lot of questions from polity correct. I used to focus on environment. I used to get a lot of questions from environment correct. I used to get a lot of questions from economics correct. And combination of these three used to easily get me over that 40-45 questions mark. And after that, I used to get another 4, 5, 10 questions correct. And there it was. I had a good golden number. And I used to easily qualify for the prelims. I never got like that 145 in prelims GS2. Then what is the point when you can more efficiently get 110 and you can easily qualify? So this is how you should study. Last year, remember, was an aberration. This year might be totally different. So don't think about last year and study that way only. Obviously, you want to keep that backup. You want to be prepared for CSAT, but don't completely just change your entire view of UPSC just because of last year. All right. So this is what I wanted to talk a little bit about. I will make a detailed video on this as well. Maybe it will be coming on Wednesday. The second thing I wanted to talk about was the recent UPSC result and what it means. I believe recent UPSC result does not mean anything. For you who is preparing for next year, maybe for someone who's preparing for last year, who has faced that exam, who has not been able to qualify, for them, yes, it matters a lot. But for you, someone who's preparing for next year, it doesn't mean much. You should not go on marks like, SMA, people got less marks, people got more marks here, so I need to focus on this and that. That is not the way you should study. It does not matter who got what marks where. If this is your first attempt coming up, what you need to focus is that you need to have a broad mind and have a broad skill across the board. You need to be good in GS, you need to be good in essay writing, and you need to be good in your optional, because you never know what interview is going to hold for you. I went into the mains with the mindset that even if I get 150 in the interview, even if I get 140 in the interview, I will qualify. I will get into, and I will try to get that top 100, and even if my marks in the interview are not very good. So I really focused a lot of energy in getting my answer writing skills really up. I focus a lot of my energy into making my essay really good, having a logical flow of thought, a proper argumentation. That is what I focused on. And I focus a lot on my optional, in which I always got the highest marks as a candidate. So what I would tell all of you is that if this is your first attempt, don't worry about your marks, that this person got this marks, 54% was the marks achieved by the topper. So it does not mean anything. It is a relative thing. If some topper is getting 54%, even if he had got 84% and the second person then would get 83%, how does it matter? It does not matter. That's just the marking scheme. It's relative. Okay. The second thing is, now someone who has appeared last year and has written mains, and you have the mark sheet in front of you. Now what I would like you to do is, I would like to understand your mark sheet. I would like you to sit down and see where the marks have come what. If the mark across the board are average, that means you need to do a lot of writing practice. Your knowledge is okay. You need to increase your knowledge a little bit, but you want to also improve your writing skills. I, in my first attempt, got very average marks across the board in all the papers. So I knew that I had to practice a lot in order to increase my marks across the board. So I focused on everything, but I missed out focusing on the essay. In the process of focusing on so much on GS and optional, I missed out essay. And then in my second attempt, I ended up getting less marks in essay, because of which I missed the mains by just 1 mark, the final cutoff list. So in the third attempt, then I focused on all equally, and especially on essay also. And eventually I got very, very good marks in essay, my GS also, my optional also. So I was having such good written marks that my interview didn't matter that much. Now, I would like you to have the same mindset. Instead of repeating the mistake that I made, that I did not focus on the essay, I want you to focus on all the papers. If your marks were average, even if your marks were very good in one paper and very less in one paper, focus on that less paper, but don't ignore the other papers, because you are going to rewrite the entire exam. So the key is, to improve your writing skills. The key is to enhance a little bit of your knowledge and your analytical skills, so that certain questions that you were otherwise not able to answer, you can answer better. And once your writing skills are better, definitely mains becomes much easier to crack. So I will give you this overall kind of overview of things that I wanted to take away from me today. If you have any other questions, if there is anything else you want me to go over, let me know in the comments. We'll be happy to do that. But remember, the journey is long, the journey is hard. It is supposed to be hard. But if you keep going consistently, if you keep putting your mind, that focus, that commitment is there, I'm sure you will qualify. You will come out with very bright, very colors, and you will be doing well. Okay, thanks. Take care. Bye bye. And if you have anything, let me know. Happy to help you. Bye.